I don't think that slashing pensions is an answer either, nor do I think that any cuts that would affect the city's vital services are the answer. A slow pay down of that debt is the answer for me. It is not taking away the employee's pension.
I don't agree with outsourcing jobs. I like our city staff. Like I said, I think they do a great job, and I think that you are just cutting the floor out of the bottom of all of us when you start deciding that, well, the city's going to start saving money on their pensions, so no one's going to have a retirement because we need to save 10 cents. Let's all go shop at Walmart. You know, I'm not a fan of that. I think that we should, if it was up to me, I would put a financial services tax on and make the bankers pay for the mess that they created. When you look at the little Hoover report that came out, and hair on fire, everything's going wrong, I think that it looked at things in the worst possible light. It was the bottom of the trough where we were in the worst economic situation, and we had improved, and they decided not to take the improved numbers because what people want is to eliminate pensions, and I'm not for that. I want secure retirement across the way, and I think that we can manage it, and that Governor Brown's proposals are getting there, that we do have a problem, but I am not going to say that we're going to start slashing pensions.
I'm reading a lot about cities who are on the cusp of bankruptcy, and they have privatized certain functions of the city. There's actually a name for it. It's called Yellow Pages rules. And the rule is that if you can find a service in the Yellow Pages, maybe it's something to consider privatizing. I do know that if you privatize a certain service, you are saving on salaries, benefits, pension, supervisors, office space, equipment maintenance, equipment storage. Let's say, for example, you use a tree trimmer, and you contract that out instead of having it in-house. If that's something that would save money and not cut the quality of services that the people of Mesa expect, I would keep an open mind to it. People have to adjust when money gets tight. I mean, we've all done it in our household. I remember my daughter once, we used to go to Lake Tahoe for Christmas every year, and then one year we couldn't, and I said, Lainey, do you understand I'm not working? And she goes, well, we'll just go to Mammoth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't get a clue. So when things are very, very tight, you do start thinking like that. I would be open to it, but like I said, I want to make sure that we do have a great, I mean, our city runs great, and we do have wonderful departments and great service. But if that $31 million starts to be felt by us, then we have to start looking outside our comfort zone.
I guess I believe that part of the quality of life we have in this city rests on the fact that we have dedicated contract employees. And what I really see is at a council with council members coming and going and the ebb and flow of politics, this city stays on course, and it has a deep center board because of these people. And I think they're part and parcel of why a lot of us live here today. Now, that said, if we strap on consultants all the time to the city, if we need to bring in, you may need an earthquake engineer to come in and really take a second look at some 19-story towers. That's something you could really do. Maybe we don't have that expertise on staff. That's fine. If there's a printing contract that can go, especially to a local business, that's great. We can outsource it. The city of San Diego has been doing this and had an interesting experience that a lot of what they put out to bid, the bid was won by their employees themselves and kept it in-house because they were effective in cost cutting. I would be very careful about that. If we really get up against the wall financially and we're not refilling positions, we're going to have to look at it. But I don't want us to be a contract city. I don't want sheriffs instead of police officers. I don't want CAL FIRE instead of in Heartland. And I don't want to see that happen to La Mesa unless we simply can't survive as a municipality, because the bottom line is the survival of the enterprise, and we must do that. I don't mean the starship now, I mean the city, right? But seriously, I think that's the last step.
We have 58,150 employees in the population. And out of that, we have 258 employees. That means 4.444 per 1,000 residents. This is a well-run city. And when an employee retires, we have been not rehiring, but using temporary people. So we have a lot of temporary employees now in a few departments, in finance for one, and that works real well. Like I said earlier, we have brought in the two-tier system, and we have saved over $1 million in renegotiations with the bargaining groups. And we haven't given a raise since 2009. So all of the employees, in fact, our police officers are the lowest paid in San Diego County. I believe they're either the lowest or one of the lowest in San Diego County. So all of the employees are doing more with less. And I'm very proud of our employees. It's a tough situation we're in, but we're working it out. And so the city can be confident, the residents can all be confident that it is being worked out. Well, first of all, I think that we pay too much now for the parking fee. Businesses downtown, they want to survive. And when you have to worry about the parking fee running back and forth, that hinders the consumer to stay in the business and look around a little longer, or to dine a little longer. As far as the money that's going into the parking meters, right now we have about $1 million in the parking meter that has accrued. And I think that the city council passed a resolution that money that is generated in the parking meters would stay downtown in different projects. Right now, the streetscape is construction of the streetscape is one of our projects that we're keen on, and that money would be used at that time for that. So money generated should stay where it's generated, is the way it is right now. As far
Well,
as
I don't think we should raise parking revenues. If we're talking about metered parking in the city of La Mesa, that's absolutely the worst way to collect money and do any kind of improvement. It makes people angry, it's unfair in many respects, it requires staff to maintain, and the machines themselves are expensive. What I think we need to do is take an entirely different look, and I'm talking about the village now because that's where the meters are. We need a parking structure. The city has the land. We need a place where people can go, park safely, and when they leave, pay for what they used, and not end up in the situation of getting a ticket. If you do build a parking structure, here's, as we did as joint powers with Grossmont Center, what, 30 years ago? We just paid off that bond a couple of years ago, the lease revenue bond. If you do that, understand that the monies that are collected are pretty well going to have to pay for that parking structure, because parking structure maintenance and security is costly enough that it won't necessarily generate net revenue, but I believe it will bring people to our city who can enjoy, walk around, not have the horrors of a ticket, the stress of wondering what's going on with that, overfeeding the meter like I always do, just to be secure. So I have a different view on that than
Right now, the parking fees, I think, we're the worst of all worlds. Parking meter already collects over $300,000 a year. We have probably close to $1.2 million in the downtown parking fund. In the 3.5 years that I've been there, I've seen us slurry the parking lot. I've seen us paint 5 meters red. We invested more money in more meters, but we didn't do anything to, the sticker on the meter says your downtown fees fund, your parking fees fund downtown improvements. So my office is right in the downtown area, right in the Mesa Village. And since 2007, I've watched stores open, shut their doors, places going out of business. I've seen so much trash and litter on our streets. I've seen stained sidewalks. At Christmas time, we always have these beautiful white lights in our trees, which really makes this enchanting experience. So for me to be on the parking commission, and the reason I joined is because I thought, my goodness, there is so much revenue being generated by those meters. How wonderful if we invested that parking meter money, turned the village into this charming place that brought in shoppers, brought in diners, saved some of these small businesses that went under, but we don't. And it just sits there, and if we raised the parking fees and still did nothing with it, again,
I think it was smart that the council designated that money from the parking fees would go into capital improvement funds, because I like the fact that they can build up a little reserve to do the big projects that we need to do. We want to build up the downtown and make it a sustainable, vibrant, prosperous part of the town. And I think one of the ways that we really should do that is by looking at more of the mixed-use development projects, where we bring people that live down there next to the trolley, downtown on the transit corridors, that are going to want to bike and walk and take the trolley, because they're going to stay here. They're not, 85 cents out of every dollar we put in our cars leaves. That's gone. 85 cents of every dollar you put into the trolley, that stays here. That's what we want. That's going to be an economic driver for the long term. I think that we can look at making sure that people can drive here, that they have the option. That I don't want to take that away, but I also want to give the option to people that want to take other choices, to be able to walk or bike or take the trolley. And I think that parking fees and paying the meter is kind of just a fact of life. You know, I think it's paying your fair share. We're all working together on this, and we can find ways to fund government. It's awfully hard to find them. And if you want to park downtown, you can walk a little bit and not pay the meter fee, or pay a little bit.
I don't think that you should increase the parking fees as it stands. I got a parking ticket the other day. That's a hefty fee. But I don't think we need to, but I do believe that where the parking meters are, that revenue should be used towards that area.
The city manager once told me that that's a trick question. How would you solve the homeless problem? He said you can't. He goes, the best you can do is manage it. So going back to the parking commission, one of the things that was on our agenda was to invest parking meter money, approximately $200,000 toward building 2 public toilets. One would have been by the trolley and one would have been by the bus stop. And my first reaction is, we have a homeless problem, and I think that that would make it worse. And one of the commissioners said we did not have a homeless problem, so I spent the next week taking pictures. And we have homeless camps. We have one close to the Costco Center, and we've got one close to Vaughn's. And it's a growing problem. If you build homeless facilities, all you have to do is go to East San Diego downtown, and Father Joe, with the best of intentions, has built homeless facilities, and what you have are maybe thousands of people living on the street. So I don't know if a homeless facility would be the right path for La Mesa. Again, it's a very complicated, and it's a sad problem. I've always thought that the best thing in the world would be to build a very large facility with a cafeteria and medical facilities in a place where real estate is very depressed, so that you could actually build a facility like this that wouldn't break the bank, where people could get medical care, where they could get food, and that could become, you know, a giant center where cities all over could benefit. So again, that is a trick question. It's a problem that can only be managed.
I would like to know more about how homeless shelters really function, and do they serve the purpose of taking homeless people off the street? The homeless person that lived behind my store for months, I was told actually had a place of residence where the Social Security checks came and a place to sleep, and that person chose to live back there instead. Some of the things I saw back there, from needles to feces to whatnot, were pretty disturbing. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one to have that experience. We know what happens. Tell me if that will work, because La Mesa, it should absolutely look at the opportunity for helping these folks. If that's what it should do, find an appropriate siting. Let's put that as one of our priorities. But show to me, first of all, that that's what happens with those facilities, because I'm not sure that's one where the thigh bone's connected to the...
We have 487 assisted units here in the city, and for low-income housing where they have assistance. So that's what we have, and we do work with San Diego with the homeless problem. So that's where we're at with that. And nobody likes to see a homeless person on the street. And the police do everything they can to not have them there. And it's sad. We don't have a place here in the city for a homeless shelter, but we do work with San Diego.
My perspective, we do have a homeless problem, but it's not a giant one. I believe that as a small city, compared to the outlying cities that we have joined, they have provided quite well in the county of San Diego, city of San Diego, various cities, homeless programs. There is the issue of whether or not people wish to be homeless or don't wish to be homeless. I tend to believe that sometimes they choose to live a life on the street. That's what they want to do. But the other problem, the homeless problem started in 1973 with deinstitutionalization, and lots of the homeless are a result of that. They are mentally ill, and it's heartbreaking. But as far as blight and 7-Elevens and homeless people and how that goes together, you know, there are places, that was part of the question, and there are places for homeless people to go. There are places, appropriate places for retail establishments to be. When I got involved at an activism level, it was to fight against a 7-Eleven type establishment down from my house. And you do have to be cognizant about where you put those retail establishments and how those affect potential trash, litter, crime, etc. And I think when you're updating the general plan or various other things, those are things to consider. The character of the neighborhoods.
As far as the homeless issue goes, I'd like to see us try and get the homeless into homes. I think that's a different perspective that isn't going to happen without some work being put in by the people that are in a position to do that. And I think the city council can have some say on that. I think that there are different types of homelessness. There's transitional homelessness, which you can really help with some shelters. That they could give people who are down on their luck a chance, give them a break for a little bit, and see if you can't bring them along to getting back to their job. That we can't just pretend like they're weak people that we don't want to have around. I think it's more, a lot of them it's a symptom of our society, inequality, and that there is a big group of people that are not making it, and I think we need to look out for them. I think that we also are probably, you know, I got girls, I don't want them to see drunk people passed out on the street. I don't like that, but I also don't think that it's necessarily their choice. It's often an illness that we need to treat as such. If someone had cancer, we wouldn't kick them down the street and say, you know, you're weak, I don't want you. So I think that there's a lot that can be done. There are no homeless services in La Mesa. There's very little that they can maybe get. They can't get a shower. I think that they have to go to El Cajon for that, and I think we need to address